So from time to time you may find yourself having an accident here or there. If you damage one of your lines, say in the prop like I did, you might have to replace it. Pretty easy process, just removal and replacement, very easy. What you do is you basically order a line from, there's a number of companies that create lines that are manufacturer replacements for your wing. You can go online. I'll show, put a link down below and show you where I got mine at. Pretty typical. I also had a little bit of damage on my toggle, actual brake handle, so I'll be replacing that as well. First, what you need to do, I guess in my case, it's fairly easy. Just one side, one brake line was cut, so I have to go the route of if you cut both of them, you'd have to figure out the exact length. See, this thing is kind of got the inner part here that it's hard to tell how long it's going to end up being. I have it tied off. But if you have both of them and one of them is not cut, then you just measure the opposite side and then tie it off to the correct length that it was originally tied off at. And they should be identical for, in this case, for the brake lines. So what you do is you take basically a tape measure and then measure the current line that's actually still working, not cut. Put the line and you actually check it where it's the connection point's going to be, where you tie it in, and then measure the distance to the handle. Tape measure, run it parallel to the line, and then measure it exactly to where the line comes loose off of the handle here. And this is exactly 124 inches in the case of my glider. And how long my brake length was originally. So you keep that amount in mind, 124 inches. You take out your new line, which looks kind of like this. It's a Spyder 26 meter. It's a brake line. And you pull out your line, like so. And in the case of this brake line, one end is going to have something that looks like this, has a loop on it. The other end is going to be just the bare end, and that goes to the toggle. This goes towards the wing. So to take this thing apart, it's pretty simple. It's just kind of wrapped into each other. But the first thing you have to do is you have to undo your handle here. So you have a loose end. So I have mine tied off here. It cut and I retied it just to check it out. And there you have it loose. You want to make absolute note of which way it goes through your pulley system right here. So it has to go through a pulley, and you want to know which way it's going. So the loose end is on my right or your left, and the tied in to the glider end is over there on your right. So basically what you do, so a little bit closer, is you release it like that, and when you do that, there's three little loops on my wing. There's three little loops here that the brake line goes through, and then it gets looped in on top of that. So you need to pull the brake line through, all the way through, out of the pulley system right here. Okay. Remembering to make note how it comes through the pulley. Pull it through. So you want this to go that way. You pull it up and through the little loops this. Just pull it right out. And out like that. Once you get it out like that, make sure you have the loops wide, and then you pull this end this way. It comes out, slides out like that. So you take the other one, and you do the exact same thing. Put it down like that. So, oops. So it goes, this loop goes over these 3 loops first. It's through. And then you take the bare end and you run it through the 3 loops. Pull that sucker through and pull it tight. It'll be just like before, like that. Now, make sure you put it through the correct direction of your pulley, and from your perspective, you go from your right to the left, like that. Just like that. And it should be all set now. Okay. And then the next procedure is basically tying the loose end onto your toggle at 124 inches in my case. So the next step on this thing, this procedure, is to mark off 124 inches, in my case, with a marker on your new line. Actually, there's already a mark on there. I may have already done this. So I'm going to measure it anyway because I want to make sure this thing is exact. So the new line isn't really perfectly straight, so it's kind of hard to get accurate measurement, but yeah, as expected, I see that I have actually marked this one before. It's been a long time since I messed with this. It is marked at the 124 inch mark. So I'll make a bigger mark on there. It's just kind of a small mark. So it's like right here. I can see the mark. So you make a really good, solid, dark mark on there. You want to have to do this. Don't necessarily want to have to do this twice, so nice solid mark, and that's what we're looking for right there, dark. So the next thing you need to do is tie your line onto your toggle. Have that much slack right there. It's about 10 inches or so slack to wrap it onto this toggle good and tight. There's lots of places online where you can actually find how to tie this in. A lot of them call it a brake line knot. I found this one on Aviator. It's a demo on how to tie in 2D steering onto your glider, and it looks kind of like this. There are other ways of doing this, I'm sure, but I think this is probably one of the better ways. I'll now demonstrate how to do this. So you want to make reference to where the black dot is, where it's going to be on the handle. So you want the black part right there where you measured it, the point of measurement. So you want it looking like that when it's done, kind of. So basically first you want to do just a quick tie like this, right where the black spot is. So kind of pull it so the black spot is right at the top of where this little tie mark is. That's the first one. And like that. It needs to be loose because it has to get on the next tie. You have to tie it through the loop again. The next thing, after you get this point, you run it through your toggle like that. Like that. So you have it like that. After you get to this point, you want it looking like this, and then basically you take the loose line and follow this line back through. So you follow it back through like that. So it's through. Once you have it like this, you go around this way, this side, around, and then you go down and underneath. It's kind of tricky. Underneath and back up through that way, like that. Just like that. So you have like two of these things now, these same little knot thing. But you want to get the slack out of here because you want the dot down here farther. So you want to pull the slack back out of this thing. So you pull this thing up, like so, and pull it kind of tight, like that, onto the toggle. So the knot, the first knot is all the way down, like that, and your black mark is right there. So then what you do is you just pull the slack up through this one, so the second knot drops all the way down to that black mark. Just give her a good tug. And then when you get them pretty roughly where you want it to be, and you want the black mark as far down as possible to where you made the reference measurement, like that, then you kind of pull it tight. Just like that. Kind of looks, just give her a good tug, like so. And that's pretty much it. The black mark is a little bit high. It's about maybe a ½ inch high. It's not that big of a deal. I'll test it out and see how it goes. I think when I finally complete this thing, I'll probably take some tape and tape this off so it doesn't come loose. I don't think it will, but it's always good to be safe. So there you have it. The glider should be ready to go now. And go out and try and test it out.
So here I'm taking my first flight since the accident. And I guess it's befitting that I do this at the same LZ that I took my very first ever flight a 1.5 years earlier. I unfortunately forgot to turn on my helmet cam during this takeoff sequence, but I did have the chase cam running, so I was able to capture the moment. I was definitely afraid leading up to this flight. I'd chickened out on 3 other days before this. My wingman, Jeremy, was also there during this flight, and after I was in the air, he decided he would give it a shot too. He'd gone through knee surgery about the same time I had my accident, so he was itching to fly like myself. On this flight, I flew out to a lake that I hadn't flown to before, about 10 miles out, so it was about 20 miles round trip.
Oh boy, that's not good. I gotta prepare to land here. Are you all right? Okay, all right. All right.
Jeremy almost never blows a launch, so his knee was obviously not quite up to par post-surgery. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.